Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Ting.com. Ting is a mobile phone service that helps you save money by offering a fair price for the services you use. Visit allaboutandroid.ting.com to get $25 towards your first device or service and to find out how much you can save. And by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/Android and enter promo code Android. And by PagerDuty. PagerDuty decreases alerting noise for IT operations and developers to ensure that the right engineers are notified at the right time. Increase your uptime and sign up for a 14-day free trial at pagerduty.com/twit. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android. This is episode 235, recorded on Tuesday, October 13th, 2015. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Flo.
I'm Gina Trapani.
Wow, you're
I just realized I forgot to say
like,
my last name.
It's almost like you're Madonna, right?
I'm Madonna.
It is. I like it.
You don't need a last name.
No,
Flo's a pretty powerful first name.
I forgot my last name.
It's okay.
I told you right before the show I have to save all my energy, so
save your energy for the Android stories.
Energy.
Unimportant things like my last name. Go ahead and get rid of that.
It's okay. Well,
all right, I understand.
I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need a last name.
That's true. Fair enough. I totally agree. Not only that, we have another strong, independent woman here, yes. Gina Trapani. Welcome back.
The OG strong, independent woman of the Android world. Gina,
how are you? Good to be here.
It's great to have you on today. So I thought that last week's episode was like pushing boundaries as far as number of people on the set at one time. Turns out this week it's a tie. Like 2 weeks in a row, we have about as many people, if not more, than we've ever had on the show.
Yeah.
First off, joining us for the entire episode, I am super thrilled to welcome Stephen Hall, 9to5google.com. Stephen, we have your articles and cover your stories on the show all the time, so it's great to finally get you on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing awesome.
You just told me you were doing great.
Yeah.
A minute ago.
But I'm always doing great, so don't listen to me. Whatever I have to say.
We're all doing great.
Everybody's doing great.
All right. Well, it's great to finally get you on. And then also have another awesome person sitting right next to me here, Scott Croyle of Nextbit. How's it going, Scott?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on.
I think probably, by the way, we've probably broken the record for saying the word great.
Great.
In the first 2 minutes of the show.
Awesome.
Ever. Exceptional.
Great.
That's great.
Anyone who's a fan of Android hopefully at least at some point in the last month or two has heard of Nextbit. Explain a little bit about what we're going to talk about probably in about another 10 minutes or so, but you guys are doing some amazing things with Android.
Yeah, so we just announced a phone called Robin, which is basically, well, first of all, it's got a fairly unique industrial design, but also from a software perspective and services perspective, it's a phone that's designed to never run out of space.
Excellent. So kind of solving one of the recurring issues with mobile devices. I'd say another issue that you can work on, I'll just throw this out there like a little grenade, is battery life.
Battery life, we hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah, but storage is a big one.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, doing a lot of cool stuff in the cloud, and that's what Robin is all about. We're going to talk all about Robin here, and we're going to show it off and all that kind of stuff. But as we normally like to do, why don't we start off with the news, Brian?
This just in, we have a big, great show for you.
Oh.
Now it's time for Android news.
I would have opted maybe more for like 4 greats.
There's a lot of greats earlier, so I went with more
You don't want to oversee
Could have done the whole Dave, what's his face, go pretty good show.
Great.
I do realize that I threw you off a little, Brian, because I didn't do the tease for the show.
No, that's all right.
I apologize.
Hey, we're flying by the seats of our pants today. We're good.
It's kind of how it feels,
it's the heat.
To be honest.
It's the heat, man.
To be honest. So we've got some pretty big news, great news, if I do say so myself. Google's CEO Sundar Pichai made some executive moves that affect Android directly. VP of Android Hiroshi Lockheimer is promoted to SVP of not only Android, but also Chrome OS and Chromecast. This is a position that Sundar Pichai held before being promoted to CEO of Google when the Alphabet transition began to take shape publicly a few months back. Hiroshi's been with Google since 2006. So he's no spring chicken. He worked as an Android engineer under Sundar Pichai, leading up to Pichai's big promotion a year ago, literally like almost exactly a year ago, where he was promoted to oversee all of Google's products. And, you know, I think the one thing that everybody wonders, at least fans of this show wonder, once a new person is in charge of Android, is will we get the chance to talk to Hiroshi on the show? And lucky for you, we were able to secure Hiroshi for this episode. Hiroshi, what do you have to say? And according to his Twitter account, he says, pro tip, long press on enter in Google Keyboard to enter emojis. I just found out. I just work here.
He just found out?
He just found out.
He just found out about 2 weeks ago.
He's been busy.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Hiroshi, it couldn't happen to a better person. He is such a great dude.
Everyone
and I've
says
known him
that he's
since the
super nice.
early development of the G1 days, and yeah, he's a good candidate.
I have to try and shake his hand now so I can complete the handshaking circle.
So
You got
okay,
Sundar,
so-
Andy Rubin.
That's what I need to.
Yeah.
Well, no, Andy Rubin. I don't think that's like shaking God's hand. I don't want
Really?
to really put. I mean, yeah. Sorry, Andy. I mean, not sorry. That's a good thing, right? But
Yeah.
yeah,
So he's untouchable. So Andy Rubin is kind of untouchable. In
yeah,
his
because he's in the
handshaking
whole
pursuit.
like Google X. So you know, he's like
But he's not anymore.
He's not.
Right?
Nice
He's out.
playground.
He's branched out. He's yeah, he's doing his
Is he
own
making
thing.
home robots or something?
that's true.
He's all about AI now. And who knows? In the next 20 years, he could be at the top of that.
I'm too busy stalking Sundar still. So
Well, that's going to be
Scott, are you
challenge.
former Google? Did you worked on the Android team formerly?
No, I had a design consultancy where we worked with Andy and Hiroshi on the G1.
Gotcha.
But I have to say, our design was not chosen. There was another design firm whose design was chosen. So that was Mike and Micah, who now work at Google.
Ah, I see. Cool.
So, okay, so, well, since you're the one that's actually met this guy,
yeah, yeah.
of all of us
what do
here.
you think? What are his biggest, darkest secrets?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when we saw
You're
this
going to catch the
Sundar
news
Pichai,
right here?
What's his zodiac sign?
What's that?
A zodiac sign. I got to do his
Yeah,
chart
I
when I
don't
get
know
home
what his
tonight.
zodiac sign is. But he's a good guy. I mean, he's super calm. I think the team loves working with him. He's a very deft manager. I think he's very even. I think he's willing to hear out all sides. I think people. I mean, I just remember when I was at HTC, and I would have meetings with him and Andy. He was the person where I could kind of get a really straight answer and a very direct answer. And I've always enjoyed working with him.
right on. Good grasp of obviously everything that's going on. You have to when you're being promoted into controlling all of those aspects: Android, Chrome OS,
And
Chromecast.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that in reading about Hiroshi and kind of this promotion, a lot of people are wondering, okay, so does this mean we're going to finally see the combined efforts of Android and Chrome OS into one thing? Is he the one to bring that
Yeah.
to fruition? Because it really does seem like a lot of people want to see that. Is that a direction that you want to see things go, Stephen?
Yeah, so I think if I'm remembering correctly, Hiroshi actually did a interview with Fast Company earlier this year, and he talked about exactly that. And so he definitely seems to be someone who's kind of a proponent of that. He talked a lot about how we're seeing a lot of equilibrium now in Android as like the different OEMs are starting to kind of come into this core of what Android is, and they're not going out and doing the crazy stuff that we've seen in the past from the Samsungs and the LGs. They're kind of like with material design, like definitely helping that. They're starting to come a little bit more focused on what Android is, and then as that continues to happen, I think we'll see a little bit of convergence with Chrome OS as well. So
Yeah, I hope so.
We're kind of seeing that already with the new Pixel tablet.
But the one running Android, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose
I feel
because
like
you're
that's like
taking,
the first step for
That's
it, and it's
true.
just going to evolve from there. And,
because that tablet in and of itself is interesting to me that Google is doing that, but then at the same time kind of scares me because I don't see Android as a platform being a really good productivity style platform yet.
I totally agree.
Yet.
I feel like Chrome OS. Like I'm using a Chromebook Pixel right now, and actually the new tablet. What is it? The Chromebook
Pixel C.
or the Pixel C?
I keep forgetting his name.
I was like,
feel bad about that.
The Pixel C actually shares a lot in common with the Chromebook Pixel from a design perspective. But I can live my life in a Chromebook in Chrome OS if I wanted to. Instead, I just use everything. But living my life inside Android with kind of a breakout keyboard like this, I'm not sure I could do that. But if there was some sort of convergence, and if Hiroshi's the guy to
Hiroshi's the hero?
Yes.
Because it sounds good,
it does,
right?
It does kind of sound
hero.
good.
I like that.
I like Hiroshi as a hero in this.
So there's an experience question, but there's also a technology question, right? The Chrome OS versus very kind of different proposition. One requires you to be connected 24/7 to actually get any use out of it, whereas with mobile devices today, you still have to operate independently, right?
Of
having a connection. So it'll be interesting to see how
Chrome OS does okay offline.
Kind of.
I mean, obviously it's not everything, but you can still use it, and you can still use it for the things that you would want to. It's just not doing the syncing aspect. So
well, thankfully there's Wi-Fi everywhere, even in heaven, so we're fine.
But I haven't
talked
about Hiroshi with it, so I don't know anything.
No, fair enough. Understood.
But I'll let you know when I do.
All right, please do.
Cool, yeah.
Make sure I'm the first to know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure I can expect that. All right. So Ron was on last week.
Ron was on last week, and I was working on my Marshmallow review all last week afterwards because I had a deadline after he left. So, and when I was working on the review, I too had backup problems, and I'm so glad that Ron finally figured out what the heck was going on with Marshmallow's backup thing, because he wrote an article about it. Ron found out that, so he posted another detailed article on Ars Technica illustrating sort of what we can expect from the backup function, since we didn't really get to see much of it in his initial review and sort of the initial reviews that came out. So auto backup for apps in Marshmallow, it backups almost everything. Your data, your settings, your third-party logins. The backup is done when the device is on Wi-Fi, connected to power, and idle for at least an hour or so. The Google Drive storage for the backups is provided for free. You don't really have to worry about hitting your limit, though apps do have a limit of 25 megabytes each, so there kind of is a little bit of a limit. Developers can choose to opt that out if they wish. And of course, Ron found that not very many apps actually use this backup API yet, so it seems like it's still kind of a half-baked feature.
But it seems like the backup, from what I could tell, the backup is it's opt out versus opt in. So if you've updated your app to the current version, why am I suddenly blanking on a dessert? I should know better than to do that. Marshmallow. There we go.
Marshmallow.
If you've updated your app to the APIs within Marshmallow, then by default it should be backing up based on this. So a developer actually has to explicitly go in and say, no, I don't want my app to do that.
Right.
Don't do that, developers.
So it's interesting.
Let them all back up.
Well, when I was using the backup thing in Marshmallow, if I actually have my phone with me, I should have busted it out and gotten it ready, but I didn't. It shows that only Google apps are being backed up right now, and the only non-Google app that's being backed up is Podkicker Pro, which is totally random. I'm a little afraid to do the whole restore because I don't know if it's gonna really restore all my data. I'm still a little iffy about the backup functionality in Marshmallow. I'm not 100% ready to put my faith in it.
I do know that I'm very happy about this feature. And I feel like this is a feature that I've been waiting for a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Basically because, and I'm sure we would all agree, at least all of us on this panel, maybe not the everyday Joe, but we play around with so many devices.
I know.
That setting these things up on a device by device basis can be such a hassle.
It's a pain in the butt.
All of the kind of complex kind of scenarios of what this app does, how it syncs, how it notification preferences, all that kind of stuff. In a perfect world, based on this, and probably a year down the line, when all developers have finally hopped on board, that'll all happen for you, and it'll be a lot easier to set up new devices.
Yeah, we see this. This is another one of the big pain points that we've seen is people setting up the phones. I mean, when you get a new phone, it takes you a couple hours at least.
It does.
And then even then, you can't find out where you stored your photos or what you did with it. And
But you know
it's
what?
backed up somewhere in the cloud.
I don't
You just
have
know
to
where
use
it is.
iTunes, so at least I don't have to do that.
Right.
What were you going to say, Gina?
I was going to say, and even then, like you can spend an hour setting up your phone, and even then you're like walking down the street later that week, and you're like, I want that trends. Oh, I didn't install it, and you're suddenly stopped and downloading the thing. It takes a while. I just set up a new interim phone until my 5X shows up, and I've been cursing the whole setup thing. I'm interested, actually. I don't want to get into it because I know we're going to talk about it later, but I'm interested to hear about Robin and how Robin's handling some of this backup and restore, which is happening, which is similar but different. But listen, these apps are going to catch up. Developers are going to recompile and target the API 23. It's going to take a little bit of time, but the fact that it's there and it will happen and it's on by default, everyone setting up a new phone will be much less of a hassle. 6 months, 9 months from now.
For sure.
Yeah, I think this one thing that I've found for myself in this area is that I use Google Photos now, which is, it completely changes the game for me for photos. Because I'm not really invested in Apple's platform, so I never really got into iCloud Photos, and using Dropbox or using these other cloud storage services is it's not exactly the most user-friendly experience. You kind of have to manually do everything. And with Google Photos, any phone that I have, whether it's an iPhone or a Nexus phone or whatever, I just download the Google Photos app, and if I keep every single photo that I ever take on there, then that's one thing that I don't have to ever think about is photos. So I think that totally changed the game for photos, at least when it comes to setting up your phone and all that.
Yeah, it's like it permanently affects your expectations of how your phone should act. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm so glad
once
for
you get
Google
used to it, it's
Photos.
hard to go back.
Well, I was just thinking about, as Tim's example, I really like that one because Google Photos has totally made my life so much easier. Now I have everything on every phone that I'm testing, and I can bring back stuff from years ago, which I didn't even know that uploaded into the cloud. I'm like, when did that happen? But that's cool. I missed that photo. There's the
that would worry some
ex-boyfriend I didn't
people.
want to see.
Some people would be like, wait a minute, when did that happen?
Yeah. What?
I think the funny things that I get that I see show up in the cloud are stuff like, I took a picture of a parking meter.
Yeah.
Or a hotel room number. So I
Man.
forget that. And I'm like, why did I thought I deleted that photo.
Temporary photo.
Yeah, the temporary photo.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer,
category.
actually. Yeah, it really is.
That gives me an
It really
idea
is,
for a photo album.
That's a little hard for us tech journos because we take a lot of app screenshots for articles and stuff.
I know.
Galleries, app screenshots.
Everything from Jelly Bean on is archived in my Dropbox camera uploads.
Yep.
It's so gross.
10 years from now, I can't wait to look at
10
that
years from now, I'm just
screenshot.
looking at the UI. I'm just
the memories. That was the best.
Actually, and in some ways, Android nerds are nerds about it enough to actually have that kind of sentimental.
But see, now I wish I had
look back in
screenshots
time
from
and be
10
like,
years
I
ago.
remember when that was new.
I wish I had screenshots from 10 years ago when I had my little texting phone.
That's true. That's true. Yep. All right. So, Gina, you and I were kind of chatting a little bit before the show about this next story. I know only enough about this to get myself into trouble. Having said that, I understand that it's potentially kind of a big deal.
Okay, well, let me do my best to try to explain it. I'm going to pull Steven on this because he wrote about it.
Excellent.
Last week, right after our show on Wednesday, Google rolled out the Accelerated Mobile Pages project, the AMP project. And the point of this project is an open source effort to speed up the mobile web. So the idea is you're on your mobile phone, you're out on 3G or whatever, you search for a news article, you tap on a web page and it loads up, and Chrome takes a really long time to load because there's these crazy banner ads and there's videos playing and there's things moving around, and Google wants to fix that. The AMP project is basically this subset and also kind of enhanced set of HTML that makes web pages, particularly news sites, but I think their goal is for every kind of page that has sort of content on it, super fast and kind of cached on Google's side to make it really fast. So you can test it now. If you go to g.co/amp demo in Chrome on your mobile device, you can search for something, and if you tap on a news link, like, I don't know, if you search for Twitter layoffs or some news item, and you get a a link to a site that supports AMP. If you tap on it, you'll see the UI is slightly different. It's super fast. It slides up with this kind of blue bar across the top, and the page loads extremely, extremely fast. And this is an open source project. You know, when I first heard about this, I was like, why is Google getting in the middle of publishers? This is another like Facebook thing where they want people to, store all their content on Google, and this is just a way for Google to get more information in their index. But that's actually not true. It's a special kind of markup, HTML markup, not that different than regular HTML markup, that makes your pages really fast. As a publisher, all your ads and all your tracking still works. They're encouraging kind of best practices, so you're not loading a page that's super slow and jumping around because there are big banner ads expanding and playing video and sound. And overall, it's pretty neat. All the code's on GitHub. It's open source. And Stephen, you wrote about it on 9 to 5 Google. Why don't you? Did I miss anything? Can you tell us what you think about AMP?
Yes, I think it's really interesting because, like you mentioned, we're seeing this kind of assault on content. Not really. Oh, I guess from our perspective, it's kind of an assault on content from Facebook and from Apple News. They kind of just want to. It seems like they want to just take our content and just rehost it, and then take a cut of the ads, which is, it seems kind of genius because, I mean, the mobile web does kind of suck. So, I mean, you see that, and I think, I mean, looking at Apple News specifically, Apple wants to take publishers' content and they want to rehost it, and then they want to sell you ads. I'm not 100% sure if it's iAds, which is their ad platform. I'm not 100% sure if it's iAds, but they want to sell ads, and then they want to give you a 70% cut and keep 30. And there's a lot of publishers that are signing on for this. At WWDC, they mentioned that they have plenty of big name partners like BuzzFeed and like BuzzFeed and all these, and a lot of other very, very large publishers. But seeing that, I mean, you have to look from Google's perspective. Ads is obviously like their biggest business. Correct? Like that's correct to say,
definitely.
Right? Like, and so you see Apple come with this platform, and Google has to some degree feel like this is a little bit of an attack, and so this is an obvious move. And honestly, for me, it was not something that I necessarily expected, but so yeah, like. It's a way for Google, looking at the big picture, it's a way for Google to kind of compete with the Facebook Instant Articles and with the Apple News, and in speeding up the web and speeding up our mobile access to content, but while also allowing publishers to keep all their AdSense blocks in place, which you can see if you go into this demo, you can definitely see that. If you're loading up any of these articles, if you scroll down, you'll see a placeholder ad that says you're demoing accelerated mobile pages or whatever. But I mean, personally, for someone that writes a lot of content, for someone who, I mean, frankly, relies on AdSense for a lot of my income, it's a really great thing, because this is a way for Google to say, yeah, we want to make the mobile web better as well, but we also want to let publishers keep all their money. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good perspective to think of it that way. Google's trying to make your experience on the web in the browser better, right? Whereas Facebook is trying to keep you in Facebook, and Apple's trying to keep you in their news app, wherever that is.
Right.
And it's very much a different approach. And the problem is that Google's trying to make your web experience better by routing basically everything through Google, because Google is basically acting as a CDN here, a very fast content delivery. So the copy of that BuzzFeed article or that Daily News article or whatever actually is being served from Google's cache, but all the markup is on the site. The site owns the markup. All the ads are there, all the analytics are there. So it actually seems like a much less troubling approach than, say, Facebook Instant Articles. And like I said, it's an open source project. It's based on HTML tags. So other people can act as that CDN. Other organizations, Google has committed to do it, but other organizations can do it, and other people can contribute to the standard, which is very early, and this is only the initial iteration. But overall, like anything that makes reading news on my phone better and faster, especially when I'm not on Wi-Fi, like I'm not going to be unhappy about that.
Yeah, a couple of those search results I pulled up, it felt like same old internet on my mobile device. But a couple of them, like that very last one that I pulled up, BBC, I mean, it was like
super
instantaneous.
fast. And BBC is usually covered in ads.
So
another thing to mention here is that Google, or not Google, Apple with iOS 9 is starting to allow ad blockers extensions, which we've seen all the controversy surrounding that. And I mean, Apple hasn't said this, but a lot of pundits who very closely support Apple, I won't name names, basically are completely defending these things because their argument is ads on the mobile web are a bad experience. And so, I mean, looking at purist Apple, we can probably assume they kind of feel the same way. I mean, looking at the big picture, whenever you open up your iPhone, you unlock it, you go to Safari, and you load up a web page, indirectly, if that page takes a long time to load, that makes the iPhone look bad. And so Apple is saying, sure, block all that, block all those ads, and all the websites will load perfectly fast. And also Google won't get all the ad revenue from that content. So I mean, it's a win-win-win for Apple to block ads, and meanwhile Google is like, I think, kind of like trying to scrape around because a huge percentage, obviously, of mobile traffic that's viewing AdSense every single day are coming from iPhones. And meanwhile, we have these ad blocker extensions that are like the number 1, number 5 place in the App Store downloads. So I think it's just really, it's a really interesting move from Google because they kind of need to do something about this. But it's also incumbent upon the publishers to kind of buy into it as well and do work on their end. So I suppose the longer term question is, will they? Is it important enough to them to do that? Yeah, I suppose I'll just say remains to be seen. We'll check in on that later. So right now, obviously, oh man, I've got a couple of awesome devices. No fault to you. You're awesome. The devices are even awesomer.
Especially the Mint one.
I like to hear that.
The Mint one's pretty cool looking.
I might pocket before you leave. What?
Be careful. Be careful. So Scott Croyle, you were with HTC for quite a while
7
before Nextbit, and you actually, I mean, man, we've been doing All About Android for about 5 years now. A recurring theme on the show over the years has been the HTC One series, and you were kind of right at the head of that from a design perspective.
I was there.
Such a good phone. Such a good phone.
Yeah, she's got the M7. Look at that.
Yeah. Great phone.
Big fans over the years of HTC's design, and obviously that's kind of your strength because that's what you're doing at Nextbit now with the Robin. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think that one of the things we were able to do at HTC, and it wasn't just me, it was the whole team that we had on the design engineering side, was really push the boundaries in terms of design. And I think, I guess ever since the M7 and when Apple kind of copied that antenna technology and kind of moved out, now actually I think the general bar across the industry, it's actually everybody can meet it. Everybody can now do the zero gap construction. They can CNC kind of metal chassis, and they all kind of do the same tricks with like, put a little chamfer on to make it shiny. And actually the result is that the reality is if you put everything out on this table, whether it's an iPhone or any Android phone, nothing really stands out anymore. Some of that's because the general quality level has gone out, but it's because people are just kind of copying Apple and back then HTC. And so we just felt like there was an opportunity to kind of shake things up there and do something a little bit more provocative. The reality is that good design should be a little bit provocative. I mean, there's a reason that you wear that shirt and I wear this shirt and I've got Adidas on, you've got, I don't know what shoes you have on, but whatever, we make these choices, right? Because we make these choices because we're individuals. Sure. And I think I saw an opportunity there to kind of do something that was a little bit different. And a little bit different it is. So let's take a look, first of all, at the design of the Robin here. If you guys hadn't seen the Kickstarter campaign, that was very successful, by the way. What did it close at? Oh, I don't remember the exact number. There was like, I don't know. 1.3? 1.3, 1.4 million. My goodness. But we met our goal in 10.5 hours, which was amazing. I mean, that first day was absolutely incredible. It was quite a roller coaster ride. But I think the other thing that we saw during the campaign is that the number of comments that we had and relative to our backers. So if you look at like a standard Kickstarter campaign, they have something like a 0.14 ratio of comments to backers. We had something like 1.4. So we had 10 times the engagement with the community.
5,563 comments.
So there's comments there, but then also in the update, each of the updates have comments.
Oh, and how many people,
and then the emails, we had thousands of emails that people would send us asking questions. I think what's interesting about this is that we believe that the era of, you make a widget, you have a pretty person hold the widget on camera. We all look at that and we're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have beautiful friends, or I'm going to be beautiful myself. I have that particular product.
Right.
We just think that's a little bit outdated. I mean, you're finding that companies like OnePlus coming out and kind of democratizing Android and democratizing mobile. We think there's a real opportunity there to actually engage with customers on a direct kind of peer-to-peer basis, as opposed to us just talking to them, actually having a real conversation with them. I think Xiaomi would be another great example of a company that has really done that. So we think there's an opportunity to actually bring that to the developed world.
Is that the reason for the Kickstarter approach, or did you need the Kickstarter?
Yeah, we get that question a lot because we raised a little bit of money from Google Ventures and Excel Partners. The reality is that we did need that for a number of reasons. I think one of the things that it did for us is it did jumpstart kind of that two-way conversation. Great platform for it. There's actually nothing that really rivals that platform in terms of doing that. That's number one. Number two is one of the hardest things about hardware is actually testing demand. You know what? We think we created something that people will like, but is that actually true? And so for a hardware company, you can sink the company very quickly by ordering too many parts and then sitting on them for 6 months.
Meet Robin.
So
meet Robin. We will.
There's Robin.
So for us, Kickstarter was not the, hey, let's kick off a team of 10 people in a garage, but it was more of, hey, let's kick off the next phase of our company, which is actually now we're going in scale. We need tens of millions of dollars to actually meet the demand that we're now seeing from the Kickstarter campaign. So that's been, I think from that standpoint,
for sure,
it created a great platform for us to test that. Yep, we clearly kind of hit on a need in terms of a design perspective. People are looking for something new in terms of design. And number two is, people have problems with storage, particularly now that even Apple just launched another 16 gig iPhone. These phones become a feature phone in something like 3 to 6 months. And then once you've hit that problem of running out of space.
Yeah, 16 gigs especially.
It's tough, right? You're at a concert, and that's their number one SKU seller. I mean, that is the one that sells mass market.
Yeah, usually the lowest price. Easiest for
it's
anyone to achieve.
the easiest way to have an iPhone when all your friends have one.
Yeah. And so if you're looking at, like, say, a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old who's creating a lot of content, because that's what people do nowadays. That's how we all share content. Whether you're on Instagram or whether you're on Snapchat, or whatever you're recording and kind of sharing out to the world, you are creating a lot of content. And the reality is that if you're a 16-year-old or whatever, and you got your 16 gig iPhone, you're out of space. And you're actively managing it, not just monthly, but often daily. Oh, I need to go delete an app. I need to go clean out my photos. I got to delete some stuff. And that's the problem that we really wanted to solve was, you know what, the cloud's out there. We're all backing stuff up in the cloud, whether it's through the Play Store or iTunes, or whether it's Google Photos or Dropbox or whatever. If you could take that kind of notion and integrate it into the operating system, now all of a sudden you can have a perfect seamless experience. I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I just keep using my phone like I've always used it. We can solve that problem. And so that's really where the notion of kind of testing that on Kickstarter and kind of testing that message, and now we can fine tune it and kind of figure out, like, there's things we got wrong during Kickstarter. We were foregoing a Verizon SKU, and we heard loud and clear that people in Verizon wanted to see Robin.
I think people on Verizon often, at least in the Android world, often feel kind of left out.
Yes, we do.
On some of the
yes, we do.
on a lot of the devices. I mean, I was once on Verizon. That's why I switched to T-Mobile. I was like,
but it works
fine,
underwater,
I'll get rid of unlimited data on Verizon because this gives me more access.
So it's fine.
It seems naive.
That's true. That's the other side of it.
I know it seems naive for us to think that, wow, they own 50% of the addressable market in the U.S. But really, as a startup company, you're making a series of trade-offs around what you're spending money on and what you're spending time on. And we're just like, you know what, let's just focus on a non-CDMA SKU initially.
And is Verizon a little bit more challenging to work with from a, clearing the device on their network sort of perspective?
Sure, there's definitely a little bit more work there.
They want to put maps on your phone?
No, there's no preloads. There's no preloads on Robin.
Oh, that's good. That must be nice.
It's still being sold unlocked. And
it's glorious.
It's a CDMA SKU, so it'll work on both Sprint and Verizon. Or at least that's the goal. So we should have it there by the time we launch.
So can you talk a little bit about how, like, the backup solution works? Because I think that's a question that some people are wondering.
Sure.
Like, you know, a lot of people think
How
of
seamless it is.
Yeah, they think of Nextbit as like, oh, it has its own launcher on it, so it's gonna be like a non-Google experience. So,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I can tell you a little bit about that. So I think the way it works is this. When you first log into Robin, we basically start synchronizing what apps you have on your phone and your photos and your videos. And what we do, so basically, and we do that smart. We do it when basically you're plugged in on Wi-Fi by default. So there's no power consumption. There's no extra data drain. So we just start synchronizing. And then in that moment, when you start running out of space, and this has 32 gigs onboard storage, when you start filling up that 32 gigs of space and you reach that kind of limit, we're still trying to figure out what the exact buffer is, whether it's 1 gig or 2 gigs or something like that. But when it fills up and you're in that moment, you're filming a concert or you're filming your friend, and you're at that moment says, hey, you know what, you're out of space? No longer. Because what it does in that moment is actually we can look at your phone and say, you know what? We can see how you've been using your apps. Let's remove some of the apps that you're most likely not going to open anytime soon. And let's downsample the local copy of your high-res photos in the gallery and leave those behind.
Smart.
So actually, when you're in the gallery...
So it's like a temporary kind of image on
That's
your
right.
gallery on your phone, but
That's
the full
right.
res is obviously
That's
still,
right.
still
And I can
backed
show
up.
you a
can
demo
get
here.
access.
And
Absolutely.
we're going to plug this in and we can kind of show
let's
you
do
what
that.
that looks like.
Sure. We can feed this directly. This is the software, but running on a Nexus
It's running
5.
on a Nexus 5, yeah.
That way
So
we
we
can
should...
pipe it into the system. No? Hold on. Hold on. That's because of my big feet. There we go.
Right, but I should also mention that when you're actually out and about and you need to offload some stuff, when the phone needs to offload stuff, you can be in airplane mode. You actually don't need, because we've already been synchronized.
So the phone on board understands the
That's
usage
right.
patterns.
Oh,
that's
that's
not
right.
entirely directed from the cloud.
That's right. That's not actually
Okay.
in the cloud. That's actually all the app data and the login credentials. They're actually all on the device, as well as the usage stuff. And so we basically track. So like if I look at this launcher here, you'll notice when I come over to this page here that Spotify is actually grayed out. That means it's actually I'm a Pandora user, so I've been using Pandora. I've actually touched Spotify in, say, I don't know, 6 months. And so we're like, hey, this phone is running out of space. Hey, boom, let's actually offload that. Now, I'm out and about, and you're like, hey, you know, you should check out this new promotion on Spotify. So if I want to actually use it, I just tap this, and now it's actually pulling the application back down from the cloud. So you're seeing the progress bar start to fill up, and the application will turn from grayscale back to green.
Wow.
That's nice.
It's like slowly turning green.
It's like Marty McFly in reverse.
Yeah.
That's right.
Photo. Yeah.
So again, we try, if we're doing our job, you actually should never need to restore this. Again, we're going to pick apps that you haven't used in 6 months. Like another good example that I give is like, let's say you haven't traveled anywhere in 6 months, but you have that United application on your phone. You know what, chances are you're not going to open that. And so we're like, hey, you know, there's a good app to kind of recognize.
How much space savings are you actually getting offloading app? Because a lot of times apps are actually very minimal in the space, but are you also offloading the associated data? Like if you've got offline storage for music in a particular app, is that being offloaded?
So in the case of Spotify, what we do is we actually don't back up the app data, but we will clear the cache.
Got it.
So you will actually, so if you're not having used Spotify in 6 months, you know, why take up gigs of space with cache that you're actually not leveraging?
Sure.
So no, the app data actually stays on the phone, or we clear out the cache.
So this is super far into the future, but are you guys gonna integrate with the Marshmallow backup feature that we were just talking about? Like,
Yeah,
are
it's
you
a good
thinking
question.
about it? Is
It's
it,
a good question. I'm going to answer that question in just a second, but actually, if I launch Spotify here, what you'll notice is that, well, I'm offline. Actually, so it's hooked back up to the credentials. So it's actually like it's never been removed. So I think that's the big thing, is you don't have to actually remember that password or how you logged into it. I log in via a username and password, or I log in via Facebook login. It's actually just all set up.
Right.
So to answer your question, we're definitely looking at that, because actually we're half a step away from doing that perfect backup and restore. And so we're trying to figure out kind of how to actually work with that functionality. There's obviously, it's pretty new, and so just looking at the APIs and kind of how we'd have to kind of tie into that. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? But yeah, that's a logical extension of that. We've already got the apps actually up in the cloud. Do we want to back up the app data in parallel, or Google has it? Do we want to leverage what's in Google Drive, and do we have the ability to do that? So we'll be evaluating that and checking that out. By the way, I should point out a couple other things on the device here. First of all, there's this area here where you can actually see this little pin icon, this cloud icon. This cloud icon actually shows what apps are currently offloaded. So let's say you're like, you know what, I want to clean up my phone. one of the good ways to actually see which apps have been archived is actually go look at this area. You're like, oh, you know what? These are the apps that I haven't used in a long time. So it's actually really kind of just quick way.
And this is just in the settings?
No, this is actually,
sorry,
so actually on this launcher, you see this persistent fab. So it's actually down here.
Oh, okay.
So it allows you to do this. You can also look at pinned apps. So if there's like an app, I don't have any apps pinned right now, but if there's an app that you're like, you know, I don't
ever
use that,
get rid of this.
Yeah, you just pin it to the device and it never gets removed.
Can you opt to remove an app manually? Like without the Robin kind of determining you aren't going to need that?
Oh, can you force an offload? Not right now, but we've heard that request. And so that's definitely something we'll be looking at.
Cool.
So I'm going to, real quickly, while we're talking, I'm actually just going to record like a 30-second video. And what I'll do in that moment is I'm going to trigger a bunch of apps to offload so you can kind of see what that looks like. So if you're in the mode, so what right now I've got the threshold set where if I record something like a 25 or 30-second video, here, this is going to be kind of meta. We're going to look at me filming.
Oh, yeah. The interface.
Oh wait, no, here we go.
We could rotate it. There we go.
There we go. Here I am filming myself on my phone. On my okay. So if I record, I'm gonna let that record for another couple. I know, getting busy yet?
Someone is barfing at home.
Sorry about that, guys. All right. So sometimes I gotta clear out the flush. So I'm gonna flush out the cache here. So let's see if I let's see if I can get back to the home screen. All right, so we're just going to let that sit for a couple seconds. And what should happen is we should be able to trigger an offload once it's actually... Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Flappy Bird just went.
Yep. Okay, so what I actually did now is if I come over here, you can see Pinterest is now grayed out. So I haven't looked at Pinterest in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that SoundCloud has been pulled out, and so has TED Talks. So again...
So
in that moment where you typically would have gotten that out of space medge, there it is.
That's really cool.
So one other thing that we do, just real quickly, is if I'm composing an email, and let's say I'm going to attach a photo, if I go into here and I'm just looking at the recent stuff, you see this one at the very bottom here. It's got a little cloud. That's actually meant that it's been a downsampled photo. I don't even know what this photo is. Let's see if it's embarrassing.
Be careful.
Careful.
I know.
Stay on target.
So anyway, because it's on Wi-Fi, by default, we're bringing down that application on the fly. Now, if you're out and about, let's say you're on the cell network, we'll say, hey, you know what? Do you want to just use the local screen res copy?
Right.
Or do you want to use, or do you want to get the high, we want to fetch that high res photo from the cloud. So again, we just kind of simply solved that problem. Of, again, living in the moment. You keep using your phone. You put stuff, like it's third-party app. I don't have to change my behavior to go share something from the cloud. I can actually just work just like I normally work on my phone without having to navigate and learn a new behavior.
Is there an app drawer on this?
There is not an app drawer. You're so perceptive. No. There is no app drawer on this page. So it's actually not implemented on this software yet, but the way the app drawer works is we've kind of inverted the way the widget space is. So right now this is basically your all apps. So it's set up more like an iPhone, but with a fab icon here. But is
this always blocked from putting an app?
That's right.
Story?
That's right. So you can see here, it's always there.
Like that. Yeah.
And then the way that you work the widget space is you just pinch from off the sides of the screens.
Okay.
And then it comes over top. So we've treated it more like Apple treats dashboard on a Mac as opposed to something that is front and center. Now, the features that I've shown you do work with any other launcher. So if you want to download the Google Now
launcher,
launcher,
we've been seeing in the chat.
If you want to download, say, Nova launcher, we hear a lot of people talk about that. You can do that. What you'll lose is that animation icon of the download progress bar because we don't control the launcher, so we can't do that.
You won't see the grayed out icons?
You will see the grayed icon. So what we do is we switch out the app icon, so you will see a grayed out icon when it's offloaded. And we will be able to change. So when it's downloading, instead of having it be in a dynamic image, we can have that be. We can switch out another static image there, so you'll see that it's downloading and restoring storing an app, and then it'll go full color. So you lose a little bit of the functionality there.
Right. It doesn't do the slow fade or whatever, but it's still it gives enough information to know what's going on.
Yeah, and then you won't be able to pin apps there. That's the other thing. You'll have to go in and we don't have that functionality built in, but one of the things we've been looking at is inside the settings area where you can actually look at, here, I'll show you the settings area. So when you go into the settings, typically you can imagine your typical storage tab here. If I just go into Nextbit storage, now you can see the blend of what's local and what's cloud.
Right.
And so the way we describe it is this bottom graph, which says 26.8 gigs taken up. That's essentially the offline storage, right? But when you're connected, you'd have this top bar, which for this demo, it's 50 gigs. We're actually doing 100 gigs when it actually ships. But anyway, one of the things we've been talking about is, hey, maybe we should add the ability to pin apps through this functionality in case, to really fully support people using other launchers.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, if it's an important app to you, chances are you're going to be using it frequently enough that it's not going to be offloaded.
That's right.
I'm sure some people would like the peace of mind to be able to pin an app and just be like, I don't even have to think about it. This is never going anywhere.
Yeah.
Seen a couple of people in chat asking about updates.
Yeah,
because that's a hot button
updates.
topic
Yeah.
right
We have
now.
a couple updates.
Just like irregularity, security updates, that sort of stuff.
And you guys are selling it on unlocked, right?
It is unlocked. It's all
So-
direct to consumer. I mean, I think one of the I've been on both sides. Right? I've been on the carrier side of things, either working through HTC, and now here at Nextbit. So one of the things we will do is we should be able to have pretty fast updates. First of all, we've got an Android team. We have Mike, who was on the Android 1.0 team, and understands kind of. In fact, he ran power management there, which was a kind of a unique function that. He ran across all the different functions because everybody was consuming power in the early days of Android. So, so he's got a great understanding of kind of everything, how it works there. Exactly. So we should be able to be pretty quick with Android updates. And obviously, we're Android enthusiasts ourselves. I've been designing Android from the very first, even in the G1 days, and obviously Mike and Tom from the 1.0 teams. We know how important this stuff is, and so it sets as a priority for us.
Sure.
We've also got good relations with Google, so hopefully, hopefully that will help us out in the long run in terms of getting Android updates out to people.
And another question I have is, do you ever worry that Google might go, hey, cloud updates to the phone? That's a really great idea. We should totally do that.
So we've got a lot of other stuff that we're working on, so that's great. I think
because it's one of those things that when I saw the Kickstarter, I was like, wow, I'm surprised we haven't seen this before.
Right.
If it's seamless, and that's I think the big part of this is if it's seamless, which it looks like it is, then it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, why isn't this everywhere?
It seems like. So that's fine. I mean, I think I think one of the things that's great about Android that it is an open platform and that Google can take some of the features they like and take it in. So I think that's terrific. That means it helps all of us out as Android enthusiasts. And we're working on the next thing. I mean, one of the things that you mentioned earlier was battery life. We've heard that before, and so why not? Why can't your phone adapt to how you're using it to actually provide better battery life? Or why can't we deliver a better backup and restore experience to consumers? So we think there's lots of opportunity to kind of leverage the cloud and kind of build to this future of, hey, what's a true cloud phone? This idea that, hey, I do have ubiquitous coverage and I should be able to, hey, can I borrow your phone and pick up your phone and be like, log in and boom, all my stuff is there. Like, why not? That's going to be there someday, right? Just like Gmail is today. It's not. And 5G is not that's 5 to 10 years off, and so we think that that's kind of the next generation step. We think there's this great opportunity to kind of take this half generation step forward.
Can I hold one of the phones? I realize I've been staring at them. I'm like,
so
they're
why do
here.
you guys go
I'm not
with
going to get
a
a chance to do this until I get mine.
like angular design instead of you designed the HTC phones, which are very like curvy and candy bar-ish.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is very like I feel like it's very cornery. It has lots of corners.
Unapologetically boxy, for sure.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a couple things. Actually, so when I start any design process, it's not like I'm the only one sitting there designing. We used a design agency in San Francisco called Branch, and I had worked with Josh and Nick before at Branch, and before that they were Fuse Projects. So they were, they've been around the design industry for a long time. But when we started this design process, what I told them was this: I'm like, look, I'm an Android enthusiast. You guys are designers. Let's design something that we want to do. There's very few stakeholders. There's no carriers to run through the kind of the gauntlet with. There's no other big executives. I had Tom and Mike to kind of sell it into. And so I think there was a couple things that we wanted to kind of jettison. First of all, anytime you design a phone, the first thing you're going to feel is people are like, you're asking for feedback from 8 people. The first thing you're going to get is, oh, it's too slippery. Oh, it's too cornery. I mean, I've heard it all. I've heard it all from these things. And I think when you listen to this stuff, you kind of have to figure out, yes, that's important, but how important? Like how much credence do I give stuff like that? And so we kind of went down this route of like, you know what? let's challenge that notion that a boxy phone is not ergonomic. And actually, when you hold Robin, and we went in, and of course, we kind of dialed in the radii and made sure it was perfect. When you hold Robin and you actually start using it, you're like, you know what, this actually feels pretty good. And that's because it does feel solid, because it is a box. And we do have radii on there, so it still does, it doesn't bite into the hand.
Right, yeah, I would agree. I would agree. That was one of the things that I wondered is when you're holding it with one hand, is it going to get uncomfortable going into the palm of your hand? And it really
and it's
doesn't.
Quite thin.
It's
I think that helps out a lot too. It's
for sure.
It's right around 7 millimeters thick. So actually, once you start down that notion, and there were kind of a number of designs that we looked at, and all of a sudden we started to kind of have a character. Like, okay, it's if I were to describe it, it's just boxy. It's simple box. Well, now all of a sudden, kind of the premium nature, as opposed to using kind of metal and the typical chamfers that you typically see on a consumer electronic. Or particularly now mobile phones these days, we were like, you know what, let's get our premium nature from something else, from the simplicity of the design. And so coming up with kind of these very simple depressions over the speaker details. And then actually, as we started looking at these kind of the camera and sensor details on the front, and then the flash and camera detail on the back, and then the volume buttons, now all of a sudden we started to have this repeated motif of these very simple circles. And now all of a sudden the phone started to have a real character, and have a real personality to it. And I think that's something that we talk about. Kind of sounds kind of corny sometimes to say, oh, a product has character or personality, but it's just a way to describe something that feels unique, that feels like nothing else out there, that feels like, like, oh, you know what, that's Robin. That's that phone that never runs out of space. And that was the number one thing we wanted to come away with, is something that was instantly recognizable, that really set itself apart from everything else that's on the market. Was a great design that I wouldn't be embarrassed to kind of walk around, or that Mike and Tom and our team wouldn't be embarrassed to walk around with. And that's something that we could really love. And you know what, you're going to have some people that don't like it, and that's okay. You're not going to win over everybody in design. I've learned that the hard way throughout my career. And so it's okay to kind of take some chances and be a little bit more bold. That's how we get to great design.
You will absolutely never please everybody. That is 100% true.
People forget this, but when the first iPhone came out, or let's go back to the first iPod, Apple was a design brand at that. The first iPod didn't even work on PCs, which was what everybody was using. The only people using Macs back then were designers. It was a professional tool back then, because it was more, it was more expensive than everything, and that was the only thing Adobe really ran at the time. But it was a pretty provocative design. I don't know if you remember that first iPod. Yeah. And it really stood out. And so I think there's an opportunity to kind of do that in the mobile space even today.
Now, we also heard that you guys kind of have a couple of new details to share.
Sure.
Some deets.
I think we can probably get a few eyeballs and ears on those details. Yeah. What do you got?
I had to write a few things down, because so I think the first thing is the final renderings are going out for the phone sometime this week. And we did a color contest on Kickstarter. And the winning color was electric, and so we're finalizing those renderings, starting the color development. And I think the survey goes out pretty soon, where you get to choose your color, and
I'm
so
still not sure what I'm going to pick.
You want mint.
And then the other thing that's going out to the mint. I love the mint. I also love the midnight, and I also love the community color that the community came up with. So, although they didn't choose my orange one, I had an orange one that I snuck in there, and nobody chose that. So you might
they knew they were onto you.
Orange is
you
special.
You might see me secretly bust one of those out someday.
Special edition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we've developed our cases, and the case colors are going out now. So there's 3 different cases. There's a kind of the less expensive one, which is the simple one. That's kind of it's a super thin, a translucent one. You can barely see it on the left-hand side over there.
Oh, okay, it's off, yeah.
And then you kind of have the kind of mass market case, which is a case that looks great, but still pretty affordable and still pretty lightweight and thin. And the one on the very far right, that's the one that's really kind of about super protection. It's got elastomer corners, so it's double injected. And that one, actually, so our marketing team came with. So the frost is the kind of one on the very far left, and then it goes like this: fog, sky, sunset, midnight, and there you go.
There we go.
And then the case on the right is also midnight.
Ah, very nice. All right, so these are the cases, and good colors, sharp colors. Is that the orange they were talking about?
That is not the orange. Okay. No, that's kind of more of a red, red one.
So the ones in the middle, they cover up the cloud little indicator on the back.
No, so the holes actually line up with the cloud indicator lights, but it does cover up the logo.
Gotcha. Interesting.
So there's the 3 colorways fully rendered.
The
up.
middle one is the one that was community chosen.
Yep, that's right.
It's nice.
Actually,
Those are nice looking. Now I have absolutely no idea which one I'm going to pick when I get the survey.
And you guys are going to stick to...
You can buy 3, you know.
I suppose so. I'll just go ahead and say I have a lot of phones.
Yeah, right.
So I'll just go ahead and
need
get
3.
one
will be
for myself.
fine. One will be fine.
Are you guys looking at retail availability at all, like in actual brick and mortar stores, or are you going to be solely online for the time being?
Yeah, we're going to be solely online. I mean, I think one of the unique things about what we're doing that lets us achieve the price. Actually, let me back up a little bit. One of the things about Android is that the kind of traditional superphone price of, I don't know, $600–700, it's actually no longer viable. The only company that can really still pull that off is Samsung because they're pumping a ton of marketing into it. But that's why you're seeing companies like HTC or even LG struggle. And so by going direct to consumer, you take off a huge margin there. And I think the innovation there by Xiaomi and now OnePlus globally has been to expose the price of a mobile phone to customers. And so that's created a tremendous amount of downward price pressure on the existing Android players, but eventually even Apple will feel that pressure. Like they may be able to have some sort of premium, but not a $300 premium over the competitors. And so that's been a kind of a great innovation there. So we want to go to direct to consumer. There might be certain markets where a retail play is appropriate, and we'll see how that goes. But
more and more, this direct-to-consumer approach is not an anomaly.
No, Apple just announced it. So they're
I
gonna
mean,
educate
yeah,
the
exactly.
market for
So
us.
there was a time, even in the last couple of years, where the direct-to-consumer. Well, actually, when Google first did the Nexus One, right?
That's right.
That was direct-to-consumer.
Yeah, but you
And-
said something. Sorry, you said something really interesting that Apple's going to teach everybody for us because that's how everybody knows how to do that.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Just
No.
Google doing
That's
it's-
exactly what I mean. Like for the longest time, it was
Unfortunately
this
not
thing
impactful enough.
that seemed like a great idea, but in practice, it never really worked
Right.
because not everybody was ready
Yeah.
for it. Apple has that magical capability.
Apple's the one
of
who's
bringing
going to
something
teach my
forward.
mom that you can buy a phone directly
Right.
from the manufacturer. She doesn't have to go to the Verizon store and deal with all that. She can just.
Although she probably still will.
Yeah.
But I think that it's interesting. But so the number of people that are over 35 years old that come up to me and say, "So I understand it's cloud phone. So does that mean I don't need a carrier?" I'm like, "No, it's." I get kind of flustered because we're so in it, that we understand it. You're right. The average consumer has no clue. They have no clue or very little visibility to that, and so that I think it's gonna be great for consumers, right? No more carrier bloat going on there, which I think is super terrific. Faster updates from Google, which I think is going to be super terrific. We think that's super valuable, and a lower price point. I mean, all these things are, I think, super, super great for people.
Awesome. Really cool stuff. Really appreciate you. And I mean, obviously, your history with HTC, for anyone, kind of in the dark here, obviously, you know what you're talking about because you've done some really great things with some awesome devices.
That's
at
maybe
HTC.
giving me too much credit.
No, but I mean, you actually, I personally, when I
appreciate
look
it.
at the recent history of Android design, I see the HTC One series as being the series that really woke up a lot of other manufacturers to say, hey, design is important. People don't just want phones that are going to shatter when they hit the ground, or people want a device in their pocket that also looks good in their hand, not just that it's usable. Some people see that as shallow, but I feel like the HTC One series really did that. Really kind of said Android devices can look good and can have a nice, solid design.
They should look
And
good.
now everybody's kind of doing that. And
I mean, one of the
certainly
unique
credit HTC for that.
One of the unique things that's happening in Android that we see, I don't know if you guys see this, is that the customer seems to be getting younger. And I think it's interesting. You're looking at people that are highly educated by they're watching stuff like this, or they're on their tech blogs, or they're even watching like Marcus Brownlee or Dom Esposito. They're actually consuming a lot of content about tech, and they're very informed. And so they're very kind of aware of stuff that's coming out. And there's kind of a unique conversation that we've been having with them just on Kickstarter. I mean, it's been an amazing kind of journey to see that. I mean, obviously at HTC, I was sheltered from a lot of that stuff. And the demographic for HTC was kind of much, much older because they started earlier. I think I don't remember what it was, but it was over 30 was kind of the sweet spot. And maybe that's legacy of trying to go head to head with Apple. But we think there's an opportunity basically, you know what, forget about that over there. There's a young group of people. In fact, you just mentioned it earlier that you know, I don't have the tie-in to iCloud. I'm actually more there's tons of people like that. They don't have that brand loyalty. And I think there's a new opportunity for Google to kind of take back control of the consumer market if they get it right. And we think that we can be part of that. We've got a message that we think, first of all, design that kind of like, it's more fresh, it's more provocative, which we think that not only designers like, but also young people like. But also it hits a pain point that all these kids are having, you know, or not kids, but like 15 to 35-year-olds. We all have it, you know, like it's a mass market problem. So we think there's a real opportunity there.
For sure, for sure. Thanks for coming on. We'd love to have you back kind of when things are more official and releasing and all that. If you ever have any announcements or whatever, you want to come back on the show.
You're going to be at Big Android Barbecue? We're going to be there.
Dude,
not this year.
I would love to be at Big Android Barbecue. And every year I say this, and every year it doesn't happen. And
we should do a show from the Big Android Barbecue. We should go next year.
That would be awesome.
We're going to try and go next year.
Okay.
Who wants to kickstart it?
Scott, I'll be there, so maybe we'll meet.
All right, cool.
There you go.
Actually, I don't think I'm going to be able, but you're going to see our founder, Mike Chan, CTO. He'll be there.
Oh, okay, cool.
You can eat barbecue here.
I can eat barbecue. It's not as good as it is in Texas.
No,
to be honest with you,
That is true. That is true. Scott Croyle, design and product for Nextbit. Nextbit.com for people
Nextbit.com.
to find information. You are on Twitter. You're S. Croyle, Croyle. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
really
thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us. Yeah, it was really fun.
Right on. Excellent. Nextbit. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. Although,
so.
one last thing, why Robin?
Yeah, so we get asked this question
It's
a
not
lot.
going to be a long. Now I feel
No. This is a good story. So just like the design, we wanted to be provocative. We started looking at names. You go through a traditional naming exercise, and I'll be honest with you, I'm like, yeah, there's another tech thing, and a lot of the stuff either it had it either kind of just felt like, in fact, the code name was Aura or Ether. We had two code names internally. Both those kind of found it kind of techie. It's fine, but so we started going down this name of, well, why don't we get a human name? And the first thing was like, well, but we don't want it to be a female name like Siri and Cortana. They all had these like female personas. It feels a little bit sexist, you know, the idea that like a consumer product should have that kind of connotation. So we're like, oh, you know what? So we started kind of playing around with names, and I think it was Tom that mentioned Robin I wasn't even in the office that night, but he mentioned the name Robin in the office that one night, and people were like, oh, you know what? Is it male? Is it female? Is it superhero? Is it an animal? I don't know.
Right.
You can bring your own interpretation to it, and we like that idea. We like the fact that people could bring their own impression to the product.
Okay.
So sorry for the long story. I know you're trying to move on.
No. It's all good.
I was curious. I'm sorry.
That's a great answer, actually.
I was hoping you'd named it after the pop star, but.
I think bird.
That's with a Y.
For some reason. Bird in the sky, cloud, whatever. That was my
I always think of How I Met Your Mother.
See, everyone's own interpretation.
So, there you go.
It's working.
It's working.
That it works. Really appreciate it, Scott.
Thanks
for having me.
Hey, wow. Let's take a break because we have to pay some bills. Let's thank the first sponsor of today's episode. That would be Ting.com. Ting is a U.S. mobile phone service on 2 nationwide networks. That's T-Mobile, GSM, and Sprint, CDMA. And Ting's definitely different. It's a phone service that doesn't believe in contracts. They don't believe in overage fees, unlimited plans, all that kind of stuff. So Ting has coverage on 2 nationwide networks. Ting is the first mobile service provider to actually allow you to have devices on the different networks under the same easy-to-manage account. And excellent pricing here. With an average monthly bill of $23 per device, Ting is helping people save just a lot of money, which is what we want on their monthly cell phone bills. With Ting, how you use your phone determines what you pay. So that basically means if you use less, you're going to pay less. There's no overage charges, no penalties. Ting doesn't have any contracts. You're only going to pay for what you use every month. And, you know, if you happen to be stuck in a contract right now, Ting will actually give you a credit if you're paying an early termination fee to come on over to Ting. They'll offer 25% of a credit of your ETF. That's up to $75 per device just for coming over to Ting. Go to ting.com/ETF if you want to find out more information on that. 80% of the devices, of devices in general can come to Ting. Use your device, the device checker that's set up. It's ting.com/BYOD. And you can see if the device that you already have can make the move over to Ting. And it's a powerful online account control panel. You can take control of your account. You can see your usage, see your bills in the online control panel, all right there. Very easy to use. And, we're always kind of looking to upgrade to newer hardware. That's not a problem. Ting has plenty of options for you in their online shop. Once you have the device that you want to use with Ting, they're going to walk you through getting started, including bringing over your existing number or getting a brand new one if you want to start fresh. Save money, better manage your cell phone usage with Ting. Viewers of All About Android can save $25 off select devices or mobile phone service just for getting started. That is allaboutandroid.ting.com. That's the site you want to go to, allaboutandroid.ting.com, and check it out for yourself. And we thank Ting for their support of All About Android. Okay, wow, we got a lot to get to. And once again, we're going a little long today, but that's okay. It's a supercharged All About Android. Let's get into some hardware. This is not something that I ever thought I'd see the light.
I have no idea why this is happening. So Pepsi is apparently making an Android phone, which is ridiculous. I'm just going to put my opinion out there right now on this whole thing.
What?
So yeah, Pepsi's getting in on the Android game. Reuters confirmed that the release is intended for the Chinese market. The Pepsi P1, as it's called, apparently, has rumored specs apparently it will have a 5.5-inch 1080p display, 1.7 gigahertz processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of onboard storage, a 13-megapixel rear-facing camera, and it'll be running Android 5.1. And I guess it comes with a commemorative Pepsi wallpaper, because why not?
Because if you're buying this phone, you are a super fan, apparently.
I don't know anybody. Well, no, I take that back. I do know one Pepsi super fan.
Would they actually buy a Pepsi phone? Do you think?
I don't think so. This is slightly ludicrous. This reminds me of when Burger King used to give out CDs. When I was young, they used to give out CDs with like special NSYNC and Britney Spears songs.
Okay.
And I feel like this is something that might end up happening. Like, buy a burger, get a free Android phone because it's open source.
Hey, Amazon Fire tablets
the brand.
Amazon Fire tablets are only $50 nowadays. So we're quickly reaching the point to where these become Happy Meal gift items.
It's true.
Steven, do you think that the Pepsi phone is something to take seriously? Do you think it's a kind of like a style/fashion accessory? What do you take from this?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's only going to be for China, so there's not really any reason for us to be talking about it because it's not going to apply to anyone here that's on the show, and it's going to apply to not that many people that are probably watching this. But this is not something that's really new. I mean, we've seen companies do this before. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Energizer, the battery company, they launched their own smartphone. Caterpillar, the manufacturer of industrial vehicles, also launched a rugged smartphone. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is really Pepsi building a smartphone. This is Pepsi licensing a smartphone that was built by probably a low-end Chinese OEM, and they're just slapping the word Pepsi on it, and then they're selling it for $400 or whatever,
Yeah. I mean, we saw a couple of months ago the Commodore smartphone, which, by the way, at this point, kind of seems like vaporware.
Yes,
but
it actually seems like Pepsi as a lifestyle, as a powerful lifestyle brand in China, isn't that far-fetched.
Sure.
No,
maybe they didn't want to spend the rest of their lives making carbonated sugar water.
Maybe this is their exit strategy.
Wasn't consumerism and corporations have really hit big in China recently? Let's not go political. Sorry. Let's not actually go down that road. Never mind. All right. Next item.
Yes, I agree. None of us are probably going to ever get our hands on this phone.
On this particular Coca-Cola phone.
Yeah, no, it probably isn't. It's probably totally mid-range.
It's a terrible phone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's true. People collect Coke memorabilia.
That's true.
I watch American Pickers.
So they're going to keep this in the blister
1988.
wrap hanging on the wall along with the rest of their collection.
Yeah.
Okay. Gina, speaking of HTC from earlier,
on leaks on Twitter, not to be confused with EvLeaks, leaked an image of a dummy version of HTC's upcoming device known as the HTC Aero, as well as the A9. HTC has an event scheduled for October 20th, inviting people, quote, to meet the new Marshmallow. I don't know why I think that's funny. I just expect somebody kind of chubby to walk out on stage.
It's vegan.
It's vegan. It's likely that the A9 will be announced then. So you're checking out the image up on the screen here. It does look sort of iPhone 5-ish, I guess.
It's an iPhone 6. It's an iPhone 6.
Yeah, it's got the
iPhone
rounding.
6.
It's got the little lines.
It looks like they kind of photoshopped the camera and the flash and like cut it and then pasted it a few centimeters over to the right on the backside.
It really does.
They should teach
strange.
classes on that, how to make a cell phone or smartphone leak.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance, I hear, that we might get briefed on a new device by HTC ahead of next Tuesday's event. Hopefully that means, maybe, crossing fingers, we'd have something to show. And if it's this, it would be this. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, so if HTC is going in a direction that's very similar to the iPhone, is that the kind of thing that's going to save a company like HTC at this point?
You didn't see there was a couple Twitter threads going on like over the weekend about the fact that HTC really copied Apple, and HTC was the first one with the unibody, and
Apple really copied HTC.
yeah, Apple really copied HTC,
I got you.
and it was quite interesting to be
It's
a
a
fly on
copy
the wall for that
circle.
conversation.
Yeah, right.
It is a
Everybody-
copy circle.
everybody's
Everybody
copying from
copies, come on. I mean,
sure.
every Hyundai looks like 3 different other cars on the road. Sorry, Hyundai.
Great
I
artist.
like your
feel.
cars, though.
Oh, Hyundai's feeling sad right now. All right. Well, I'm interested to see, I suppose, and hopefully, maybe we'll get a device on the show. I don't know. This is what I'm told. A little birdie told me.
Would you say a
but
robin?
Not a robin.
No.
Not a robin.
Oh, darn
no.
it.
Robin definitely did not tell me that. Let's check out some of the other type of hardware. And by that, I mean the wearable type of hardware.
I just love his little watch on his little arm.
I know,
hand.
they
It's
snuck that
just
in there.
so
It took me a
cute.
few views.
Yes.
There we go. Before I actually noticed that. First, Tag, is it Heuer?
Tag Hua.
Tag Hua? Tag Heuer. Has an upcoming Wear device. They teased a new image. Steven, you posted this on 9 to 5 Google. What do you think of the corner of the watch?
Yeah, we get a little half of it.
What do you think about $400 or so worth of the watch?
Yeah,
That's about all
we
we're
get
seeing.
like $400 or $500 of it.
Yeah.
So we see these luxury smartwatches from Apple in the form of the Apple Watch Edition, which I think data we saw earlier this year, the thing's not selling that well, which is not that surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But Tag is I'm pretty sure Swiss. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they're a maker of luxury real watches that aren't smart. And so they don't have many options when it comes to competing with even the standard Apple Watch, the stainless steel one, or the Apple Watch Edition, because they don't build software. So they can't go to Apple and say, hey, we want to build a really, really expensive watch. Can we load watchOS? And so obviously they go to Google, and Android Wear is freely available to any OEM that wants it. So Tag is building this watch. It's going to cost $1,800 according to what we've heard, and it's going to look like a lot like this other non-smart watch that they also build. The CEO came out and said that, and so it's kind of like targeting this segment of the market that's not necessarily not all the way up there in the Apple Watch Edition realm, but it's definitely beyond the standard Apple Watch. But I think that Apple definitely leverages their place in the market as kind of being the quote unquote luxury the luxury electronics maker. I mean, you don't see celebrities walking down the red carpet with an Nexus 6 or a Nexus 6P. You see them with the iPhone 6s Plus. And so, I mean, we've seen Beyonce with the gold Apple Watch edition. We've seen plenty of celebrities touting their Apple Watch edition, and this is Tag saying, hey, we can do this too, and we're going to use Android Wear, and it's going to be a really expensive smartwatch. So
$1,800. Brian, I put in the doc chat a link to, I think it's the watch that that this is fashioned after. It's the, where is it? There we go. Is that it? The Carrera?
That's it.
Okay, so obviously what we see in the photo actually does look a little different from this based on, the single button versus the 3 buttons on the side. Obviously we can't see the watch face or whatever. Yeah, $1,800.
But this plays a lot into what's going on in the market right now, because we saw like with the Huawei watch, you have 6 different pricing tiers. So it starts like $399, it goes all the way up to $799, I believe, so $800 for like a gold watch. And people who are really into watches will want to buy something that looks good like this and has all this processing power in it. Like I could definitely see a dude all decked out in a suit, like wanting to buy this watch. And it all has to do, I mean, Google's put all the plans in place for it. I mean, now you got Android Wear working with iOS.
Well, I mean, I think that's actually a big component of this.
Granted, it's still like very kind of like beta. Like we definitely have things to work out, but it's there. And so it could be like, hey, if you want to buy this expensive watch, we'll be able to sort of work with your iPhone. Eventually, it'll be a little bit better. Just give us a little more time.
Yep.
And don't worry about putting $1,800 down on a watch because
you probably don't worry about that anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that's the thing. And I wonder about this, like with watches, is my dad has had the same watch for like over 10 years. And it was a splurge for him, but it's like a piece of jewelry for him. And I he's like interested in the Apple Watch because he's an iPhone user. But he can't really push him to that edge yet. And I think it's because the Apple Watch is still kind of like techie. Like it still looks really techie.
More
it
of a technology
look like
than a timepiece.
Like an accessory
for sure.
As much.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting. This is a really interesting move. It's not, I feel like it's a little different road for Google.
What's interesting to me is that this is kind of like, I mean, there's a long heritage and a long history of Swiss watchmaking, and there's a lot of people who buy really, really expensive Swiss-made watches. I'm definitely not one of those.
Super expensive. Like,
yes,
as
exactly.
much as a car.
Yeah, like the Rolexes and the Breitlings and the tags, and so I mean they kind of feel they're seeing Apple come in with the Apple Watch Edition, and this is something that they don't even have the capacity to offer. None of these Swiss watchmakers can offer anything close to what the Apple Watch is because they can't build software. So they're missing an entire component of that, and they probably feel, I mean, in the next, maybe not the next 5 years, or the next 10 years. But looking at 50 years down the road, are we going to look back at classic watches and are they going to be a relic? And so I think that's the question that these Swiss watchmakers are asking, and they have to do something about it. And so this is the very first step we've seen with a Swiss watchmaker that's like trying to take their luxury item and make it smart for the 21st century buyer. So.
Now, how about this kind of tying into Robin sort of in the Kickstarter angle? Blocks, which is a modular smartwatch, taking a similar approach to Google's Project Ara, which is the modular smartphone that has yet to actually release. Their campaign passed its $250,000 goal in half a day today, I believe it launched. Right now, it's right around $417,000. The goal is $250,000, and that's basically $195 to get in to start. And this is a full-on modular watch. So for $195, you get the watch, which is running Lollipop. It's not running Android Wear, so that allows them to customize it to a different degree. And then a basic, just a flat-out regular band. If you upgrade, you get modules that essentially plug into the band. So 4 modules, from what I understand, pretty much surrounds your wrist. I could be wrong there. Maybe that's most of them, and then you've got the latch. But essentially, the modules that would plug into it are customizable, so you can do things like mobile payments on the go, or a heart rate monitor is actually really important to me.
I'm assuming with an app on your phone, right?
Well, each module has its own purpose, so there's different hardware built into each of the modules.
Oh, interesting.
For different things that you might want to use it for, a camera, whatever.
Are there any
whatever the case might
ladies
be.
in this commercial they're showing right now?
I'm not sure that there are.
This is like she's gonna
a
come
man
out with a pot of
product,
coffee.
apparently.
Hi, honey. So glad to see you. Oh, there she is on the couch.
She's sitting on the couch
Yeah.
waiting for the lights to be
Let me look at
adjusted.
your modular smartwatch.
There we go.
I'm sorry. I realize we're talking about modular smartwatches here, but
That dude just lowered the lights from his watch.
Yes, he
Okay.
did, and that's how he started to put the moves. Yeah.
honey.
Set the mood. I don't know. What do you think, Gina? Modular smartwatch? Are you in? Are you out? What do you think?
I think theoretically it's pretty cool. I don't see a reality in my life where I'm like running around with a bag full of like replaceable batteries. But I do think theoretically it's pretty cool. I'd like to see the modular smartphone prove itself out first. But I mean, I think it's a cool idea. I guess, watches come with extra links for the bands.
like a
you just
Lego
put them in once and never do it again. So, I mean, interesting, but not for me. That's my quick take.
My quick take is I want to see version 5 of this when those things don't look insanely uncomfortable. Yeah. And clunky. Like I have relatively small wrists, so even watches that have very small, thin leather bands, I still don't wear them every single day religiously, because most of the larger leather bands with the Moto 360 are even a little bit too big for my wrist and feel a little bit too clunky. And then on top of that, you have a watch that's a little bit on the thick side compared to some watches that I could buy that aren't smart. And so I look at this and I kind of want the one that comes out in 5 years that's really, really thin and looks really sleek. And this thing looks like a big plastic ring that's going to be really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. It is large.
So sick of large watches, man.
Most of them are. Yeah. It's kind of always a bummer. But, a lot of people said the Huawei watch was large. It worked perfectly for my wrist, but yeah, it's not going to work for everybody.
That's the Huawei watch is it's a hot
The
watch.
Huawei watch
It's
is a
like
step forward.
It's like this is a big watch. It's gold. Look at my gold. No, it's blingy. It's supposed to be. That's fine. But that watch looks like a regular everyday watch. It should be smaller.
Steven, you were saying actually before the show, you have the Huawei watch. You've been playing around with it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll get it real quick.
Oh,
sorry.
See you later.
I got it. I'm here. So here it is. This is the Huawei watch, and I actually did a review on this, but so I thought this was definitely a step forward for Android Wear and for Android Wear hardware in general, because we've seen this is very similar to the Moto 360. I think. I mean, we saw the very first Android Wear promo videos. We saw the guy on there touting that really sexy looking circular screen.
Yeah.
And I mean, immediately I saw that and I wanted one. And the first Moto 360 had the flat tire and
it still does.
Yeah, it still does, and an LCD screen that definitely drained its battery pretty quick. And I feel like the Huawei watch is probably, for me, it's everything that I wanted the Moto 360 to be. It's definitely I think it's just a tiny bit thicker.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it looks
it. But it's OLED, which means it's not draining your battery life all day. And it is, I mean, it's just pretty slick looking. And I really, I had an LG G Watch, G Watch R before this one. Mm-hmm. And this one is definitely a little slimmer and definitely more comfortable on my wrist. So
I really liked the Huawei watch. I was very sad to have to return that one.
It's like for going out, he can wear that to the opera.
Yeah, no, it looked really nice. It worked for me. Having said that, I keep asking myself, okay, you really liked the Huawei watch. Are you going to buy one? I'm still kind of like,
because it's $400.
No, I'm not. I don't feel like I absolutely have to have it. So I don't know.
$400, yeah.
But it's really nice. I'm not
you know
what
you get for $400?
What? Stuff?
A lot of stuff.
Okay.
a lot more stuff than just a watch.
True.
Just saying.
That's true. All right. let's take a minute and thank another sponsor of today's episode. You could put some of your $400 towards a new mattress. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Casper. Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses and a fraction of the cost of what you're going to pay if you go into the store and buy one in the way that you're used to. Casper is actually revolutionizing the mattress industry. They're cutting the cost of dealing with resellers and showrooms and passing that savings directly on to the consumer. Casper's mattresses, they're obsessively engineered, and you feel it. When you lay down on a Casper mattress, they're just super comfortable, and even better, it's a fair price for them. You're not going to pay through your teeth for these mattresses. There's two technologies. It's latex and memory foam. And they kind of combine that all together. As you can see here, Leo unboxing. When you get the Casper mattress, it's boxed up in this box. It makes it really easy to kind of haul to wherever you're putting it, which in the mattress world is a lot to say because mattresses suck to move. But this was actually really super easy. I was able to pull it up upstairs really easily, take it out of the box. You break the seal on the plastic, and it's like, you know, the air comes in, and suddenly it's this super comfortable mattress that you can obviously lay on in the entryway floor and start reading and maybe fall asleep. That's what Leo chooses to do. You can do whatever you want with your Casper mattress. It's a comfortable mattress, has just the right sink, the right amount of bounce, and you know, you're going to get long-lasting comfort and a lot of support here. You can buy it easily online, and that's kind of a really big part of this. Completely risk-free. Casper actually understands that it's important to try out your mattress and not just go into a showroom and lay on it for a couple of minutes and go, I'm sold. Here's a bunch of money. You can try a Casper mattress today by going to the site. They offer free delivery, painless returns with a 100-day period. So you don't have to lie down in the showroom anymore. You can just get the mattress sent to you, set it up in your actual house, sleep on it for a couple of weeks, well, up to 100 days actually, and decide then. You know, decide if you want to keep it, and if you want to ship it back. They make it very easy, you know, hassle-free to do that. Statistically, lying on a bed in a showroom has no correlation to whether this is the right bed for you. So this is the right way to do it. Just bring it into your environment and check it out that way. Get a Casper mattress yourself. You can get $500 for a twin, or up to $950 for a king size. I have the California king size, also $950. Compared to industry averages, that's just a really great price. And you can save an additional $50 as one of our audience members. All you got to do is go to casper.com/Android and make sure and enter the promo code Android. That's casper.com/Android, promo code Android. And we thank Casper for their support of All About Android and for my great nights of sleep. All right. Wow. Real quick. We're going to do some apps. Real quick. Super quick. Starting with Google's new Meter.
Meter. Google's Creative Lab has a new app called Meter. You put it on, it's a wallpaper, and it tells you how much Wi-Fi signal strength you have, how much battery life you have, and the number of pending notifications that you have. It is very useful and helpful, and it uses material design. The end.
Oh man, I had it installed. Now I've got a different wallpaper there.
I have it installed.
You want to, let's see here.
I don't know if it's working.
It's Meter.
You guys had too much fun in the studio.
Meter. Let's see here. Okay, so you can kind of, I don't know. Oh, is that Meter? No, that's not Meter.
Yes, but it's not doing anything. So it doesn't really help.
I've never seen that part of Meter. This is what I see when I do Meter.
Okay, so where is the Meter? So you go in and you like choose stuff, and then you set a wallpaper.
Do you have? Do we have an over the shoulder? I don't know. Do we have it? Not on that side. Oh, here. Here, let's see here.
Nobody wants to hang out over my shoulder.
So wait a minute. So no, what you were showing was the aisle of, I don't know what those are.
Those are the wallpapers.
These are. This is Meter.
Okay. Oh, that I chose the wrong wallpaper. Of course I did. Never know how to use anything.
Yeah, so that's okay. That's okay. So this is, yes, this is the one that I've been running. And I know that they're supposed to show you like different, you know, things like your battery and all that kind of stuff. This one only ever shows me what down is because that's where the ball rolls to.
Maybe it's trying to tell you something.
It says
the
battery.
Pink dot,
well, I have no.
all the way up. The pink dot fills all the way up if you have full battery,
Yeah.
and it gets smaller.
Literally, just as you started talking,
don't know
I
how to
figured it
use
out.
the app.
Right. So battery 34%. You see it very faintly under there. As your battery is filled up, the ball gets bigger and it has less space to
But
bounce
I have
around.
no.
You are very smart.
Yeah, no cellular connection. So
I swear I've spent the last week with this thing on my phone, and it was doing this. This is another one. This is Wi-Fi, which actually that makes a lot more sense. How good
That one was really fun for me to play with, because if you do the old death grip, like the old iPhone 10 gate thing, if you do that on your phone, you can watch it like slowly go down. Maybe I don't know if it's gonna happen.
Hold on, too much of a death grip. Oh yeah, I guess it was. It kind of was.
It
So
did
there-
go down a little.
There you go. So, anyways, okay. I was too fixated on the fact that, it followed my orientation of the phone and did that. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
You spent
But
half an hour
it's
doing
how
that,
much
didn't you?
It's full. Yes.
It's so much fun.
Literally, I've spent the past week trying to figure out why I should have just read an article instead.
Me too, apparently.
There we go.
Whatever.
Actually, but I'm very curious to know. Show me that after the show.
Yes.
What that other one was, because that was cool.
Some
looking.
camels.
So Gina, our good friend LastPass has some news.
Yes, our beloved LastPass, acquired by LogMeIn for more than $110 million. Congratulations, LastPass.
Wow.
Great product. I actually think that's a low price. LogMeIn said that the integration of LastPass into its Meldium product, which is their password manager for Teams, will happen eventually, but in the short term, LastPass will operate independently. I had this moment, the acquisition news where you're just like, that's great for them. Oh, balls, because you feel like they're just going to get distilled into this big group, or they're going to abandon the product, or they're going to fold it in and give it some crappy name and not pay attention. I mean, it feels like there's so many things that could go wrong, and I love LastPass. And it feels like the LastPass team are just people who are really, really, really good at security and privacy, which is why I use them. But they updated their announcement and said, want to reassure you, the entire team is staying in place. The product remains in place. This is, we're going to operate as we always have been, and now we just have more resources to do an even better job. So, all right, I believe them. Congratulations, LastPass.
So have we all used, I know I'm a dedicated LastPass user. I love it.
I've never used
saying that you
it.
haven't
I am
used
the
it.
worst person in the world.
Why? Because you haven't used LastPass?
I just, caution to the wind.
Oh, okay.
Just living it up on the internet.
I encourage.
You're just using the same password everywhere, aren't you, bro?
I will not
The
admit
same
to that on
one-letter
the air with a
password.
bunch of people watching me right now.
Steven, are you a LastPass user?
I am not. I have tried 4 times, and then I just stopped putting my passwords in there after 2 or 3.
Just didn't like the process, or?
I don't know. I haven't really had a problem keeping track of my passwords in the past. So I just I never really felt like a compulsive need to use it. And I've wanted to use it because obviously there's those times where you do not remember your password, and it would be really helpful to have them all in one place. But the work that it takes to put them all in has not been worth the benefit of those 1 in 100 times that I forget my password. And I find myself just very quickly in those situations, just clicking the forgot password, just running through it and just checking my email.
Same.
So.
Yeah, well, I will say in LastPass, okay, I love LastPass, full disclosure. In their defense, as far as setting it up and stuff, if it's running, all you have to do to set up a new password is just log into the site the way you normally do. And when you do that, then it'll store it.
Too much work. It's easier to just write it down in my notebook that I carry with me everywhere, every day.
But the
that will
difference
never get
is-
stolen.
Post it right to your monitor.
I know for myself, if I didn't use a password manager, I would use the same 3 passwords on every single site. And then, there's just the security implications of person gets that one password. It's very easy to figure out what sites they can use that on, and suddenly they have access to a bunch of things you don't want them to have access to.
We should have tweeted Edward Snowden about this before the show so that we could have gotten his
He totally
official
would have got back to us,
He
too.
totally would
Yeah.
have.
We actually had, who was it? We had the CEO of LastPass on Security Now earlier today, Leo. Spoke with the CEO of LastPass. I haven't had a chance to watch that, but I'm very curious to kind of hear, because I know there's also a lot of people that don't have very good feelings about LogMeIn, that are kind of feel like, oh, LogMeIn bought LastPass. All right, I'm out. That's enough for me. I don't need it anymore.
Well, I felt that way when Volkswagen bought Porsche, so I understand.
Yeah, you can. See?
Look what they did to the Beetle. What is that? It's some weird hybrid. It's not a Porsche. It's not a Beetle.
They're innovating. They're innovating on the Beetle. So anyways, I don't know if it does it change your feelings as far as LastPass is concerned, Gina? Are you sticking with it or?
I don't have anti-log me in.
Yeah, neither do
feelings.
I. I really didn't really care very much about that, but.
And at this point, moving to another, like moving to 1Password or another password manager would be like a huge pain.
Yeah.
So unless, I mean, you know, LastPass has been through a couple of hacks as any service like this is going to because it's just a big target. And I've still stuck with it.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, like inertia. But I don't have bad feelings about LogMeIn, and I hope that the product gets better.
Yeah.
Now that they've been acquired.
Yes. And really quickly here, Google's standalone Street View app, which I think we showed off a little while, that they kind of redesigned the Street View app and made it all pretty and all of these cool
You can use it to go
kind
to
of
Russia.
photospheres and stuff. Now they've integrated what they should have had at the launch of the redesign, which is cardboard. It was screaming for cardboard basically right out of the gate. It didn't have it. Didn't take them long to add it. I'm really happy that it's there because it's totally the kind of app that you want to fire up with cardboard.
I need to use it
and
like
navigate
one
through.
night after I just had like 3 glasses of wine and just
And
like
just go to
I'm
Paris. Just go to Paris for the night.
Yeah, that's a good idea,
Right?
actually.
You can just go to
Street View through
somewhere.
Paris. And I don't have to deal with the smells or like weird like people or the French language.
Yeah, exactly. But you can still bring a bottle of wine. That's the beauty of it.
Yes, I can. $3.
There you go. Before we get to the arena, let's thank our final sponsor of today's episode. That is PagerDuty, which is an operations performance platform and delivers visibility, actionable intelligence that's going to help you, increase the uptime of your apps, your servers, your websites, databases, all that stuff. If you rely on your software and your services to always be up, that's what PagerDuty is all about. It's an essential tool. As a hub of your operations, PagerDuty connects to all of your systems into a single view where you can see the most critical events across all of your monitoring tools. There are over 100 ready-to-use integrations, including New Relic, Keynote, App Dynamics, Nagios, or you can roll your own with PagerDuty's APIs, so it's totally extensible. Decrease your resolution time. When an incident occurs, PagerDuty notifies the right team and member based upon on-call schedules and personalized alerting preferences, and if those alerts are missed, PagerDuty is going to actually automatically escalate issues to another team member until it is responded to. You can dispatch alerts by automated phone calls, SMS, email, push notifications, and you can resolve incidents on the go so you can live your life, which we all want to do, even when you're on call. And you can kind of reduce the noise as well, decrease that noise. Incidents are automatically filtered. They're also deduplicated to ensure only actionable alerts are delivered. PagerDuty's analytics tools will also identify common problems, allowing you to proactively make system improvements and prevent future outages. PagerDuty is relentless when it comes to reliability. It's fully distributed across multiple data centers and multiple hosting providers. There are also many contact method providers per method, so you never miss an alert. And you can customize it to fit how you and your team work, regardless of location or size. And PagerDuty is trusted by thousands of companies you've heard of. Microsoft, we've all heard of Microsoft. GitHub, Boeing, Nike, Pinterest, Box, all those guys and more. Get the right engineer on the right problem at the right time. Visit pagerduty.com/twit to sign up for a free 14-day trial. And for as little as $19 a month, you can increase your uptime with PagerDuty. When you sign up for a new account, you'll even get a fancy free t-shirt. That's pagerduty.com/twit. And we thank PagerDuty for their support. All right, I think it's time to battle in the arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
I haven't checked in on last week's, I'm afraid. Because
Too bad Ron isn't here. Huh.
Oh, did he lose? Did he lose?
Oh, just check it.
Just
check it.
I can't because apparently I'm signed in the wrong account.
Oh, well, you know what? You can look over my shoulder.
Oh, man, you edged me out. You and your snowball smart notifications. I was strong earlier in the week.
This is making
And
me...
then slowly over the week, I saw the bar go. I was like, no, get away. And then we were even. And then you passed. And I'm like, oh, great. We're never going to beat you.
Probably this week you will.
I don't know. We'll see about that. We're certainly going to try. I'm not saying we aren't going to try. So let's see here. All right. So that means that I'm the big loser. Let me just go ahead and sulk over here a little bit. Okay. So we were talking earlier about backups in Marshmallow and how developers need to target the right API, the Marshmallow APIs, in order to take advantage of this. How do you know whether an app has done that? That's what my app for today is all about. It's called App Checker, and it's a pretty, I mean, it's a basic app. It does exactly what I'm telling you right here. Its main purpose is to show you what apps you have installed on your device and what API they target.
Wow.
So if you want to know whether your favorite app has been updated to include the APIs of Marshmallow, you can. There you go. I've sorted by version. You can also sort by name. It'll scan all the apps that you have on your device. If you want to include system apps, you can. You just toggle that. And then you can scan through and you can see what developers have done a really good job keeping up to date and what developers, Google, have not.
Oh my gosh.
Where Google Voice is still targeting ice cream sandwich.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
You could just have a whole show about that app right there.
Yeah.
Google Voice.
Just show off all the different Google apps and just showcase the ones that are still.
Like even
just
Cardboard
shame
is on
them.
KitKat.
Well,
just
device
shame them publicly until Google fixes them.
Yeah, device manager on KitKat.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that
Google
weird?
Authenticator.
Isn't that
Do any of
crazy?
you use two-step authentication?
I
Google
don't. I
Authenticator.
keep meaning to, but I do not.
Just stop
Google
asking these
Authenticator
personal security
is like
questions
from
on air.
2010.
Really?
Authy.
Yes, it's
Authy.
horrible.
Use
Yeah.
Authy.
That was one of your picks in the arena, if I remember correctly, Gina. Was Authy
Yeah.
at one point.
Still love and use Authy.
So anyways, it's a good way to kind of see. So you could probably
Geez, even Blizzard is like up ahead with Hearthstone versus Google. Sorry, I'm just so incensed.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Device Assist is up there with Marshmallow. Anyways, an interesting way to kind of visualize the apps that you have installed to know kind of where they stand and how up to date the developer has been on bringing their app up to date. So there you go. It's called App Checker. One word. It's free. It's one of those apps that has like 100 installs or something, 100 to 500 installs. So it's totally below the radar. And I don't know. I think that's pretty handy. If anything, just to know, you can tap any of these and it'll bring you through to that app's info page.
Nice.
So you can do things like, tweak the, take a look at the permissions, tweak the notification settings on them and all that kind of stuff. So it does more than just show you that information. It gives you access in an easier way. It's information you already have access to from a system level. It's just another way to get there. So App Checker, it's free. Check it out. All right. Hey, Steven, let's go with you next. I have, at least I think I do. Yes, I have your app installed on my device. Go ahead and tell us why you like it, and I'll try and show it off for you.
Okay, so my app is Inkboard. And if you've ever wanted to draw a doodle of any kind for any reason at all, this app that just came out a couple weeks ago is going to be absolutely awesome. But you have a couple of options here. You can pick the blank canvas, which lets you just like draw things for fun, or you can select, so you open it up and you can choose from, I guess it's crashing on your device.
Yeah.
Oh, no, does it work with Marshmallow?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Cool. So you can swipe left and right through all these different like tools. It's kind of reminiscent of paper and a lot of other just doodling apps. But I wouldn't typically use this blank canvas. What I would use is I would go back to the main screen, and I would use this for, if you're ever like walking someone through how to use an app, or you're posting a tweet and you want to annotate something that you screenshotted, I would screenshot something and I would click select photo, and then I would tap that screenshot that I took, and I could draw little arrows on it, or I can annotate it, or I can swipe over and I can highlight something. If I'm screenshotting an article that I read, I can highlight the lines that I think are the most important and annotate it, and then I can click the little save button in the top right corner, and it will save it to my little gallery. And this is especially useful for me because I post a lot of screenshots. I'm doing a lot of app coverage. So it's really nice to be able to screenshot stuff and just mark it up and share it with my readers or with friends on Twitter.
That's awesome.
So Yeah, so it just came out a couple weeks ago. This is probably the most streamlined app I've found that just lets you mark things up. And then, of course, your last option is just you can go into the camera and you can take a picture in live time, and then you can do Snapchat type things where you can give someone bunny ears or
bunny ears. Oh, that's a good idea. Bunny ears.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, or devil horns, whichever you want. Well, depending on whether you like the person or don't like the person. So
don't give me devil ears, please. Okay,
there we go.
That works.
That works.
yeah. So yeah, I thought this was pretty nice, but there's more.
Oh.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Go back and you can click the save button real quick.
Okay, because I don't want to get rid of that one.
No, you don't want to get rid of that photo.
Your next profile photo, by the way.
Great.
Just saying. And by the way, the slowness I blame purely on the Nexus 5 because this boy's getting old here. Okay. All right. What's next?
Click done real quick.
Yep.
And then on the top right, your little drop down menu. You can click Enable Drawing Keyboard.
Why?
Which will basically, if you're familiar with the Apple Watch or with the Together watch face on Android, where you know what it's like to draw little doodles to your friends, and if you go into your messaging app, whatever it may be, I hope we're not like showing any sensitive information.
Does it show? Do I?
Yeah, you tap the little keyboard in the bottom right.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, and then click Inkboard. You can draw little doodles in this little keyboard, and then you can tap the little envelope send button, and it will send your friend a link to an image. For some reason, at least in this current version, it doesn't let you actually send an image. What it will do when you're texting someone is it will give you a linkboard.io link that you can tap and then open up the image in Chrome or your web browser. So I just thought that was pretty nice, and it's definitely pretty streamlined in comparison to some other things I've seen when it comes to just marking up images and sharing them with other people. So
I see. I'm twisting this all around because I don't know. I suddenly don't know how to use my phone. Accept and continue. Done. Yes. Get past this. Okay. Let's see here. Paste. I just want to see what we see when you go to that URL. Oh, there we go. Nice.
I like that you gave him ears.
What's that?
I like that you gave him ears. Well, I don't usually put ears on.
Everybody deserves an ear.
Yeah.
Or two.
Yeah.
Preferably two. Yes, exactly. Cool. That's really cool. It's called Inkboard, and it is free and nice. It's one of those tools you keep on hand, and you might not use it all the time, but when you need to use it, it's very handy. Excellent choice. All right, Gina, I have your app installed. I will also attempt to keep up on this one while you talk about it.
Right on. All right. So my app is also another app that's really under the radar, like 50 to 100 installs, indie developer, kind of undiscovered. It's called Excerpt for Twitter. It's Excerpt. And if you follow people who use iOS and use this app called OneShot, it's similar to, it's basically OneShot for Android. So what Excerpt does, it lets you take a screenshot of text, of an article text, and highlight a certain quote, and it automatically posts that image to your tweet. So I really enjoy using Twitter. I realize that it is completely ridiculous that people are sharing screenshots of text, but when you're limited to 140 characters, you got to do what you got to do. So the way Excerpt works is you're reading an article on your phone, you really like a certain quote or whatever, you take a screenshot just the way you take a screenshot anytime in Android with the the volume down and power button. And then in Excerpt, you select the screenshot and you crop to the text that you want to show off in your tweet, and then you can highlight using different colors the quote that you want to show off in your tweet. And then basically you can either save that image or you can tweet it. So yeah, so there you go. So you've got Google Plus open there, Jason. If you take a screenshot, you just need a little text to really show. Yeah. So.
Oh, hey, this is like Inception right here.
Whoa. Whoa. Yes.
Okay. This might be a little confusing, but we'll go with it anyways. This is not planned.
So you go into Excerpt, you choose your screenshot, which for some reason isn't showing up there.
Indie developer.
That's a little bit weird.
Let's see here.
Let's see.
I'm gonna relaunch it because maybe it had scanned.
Yeah,
or
it may have cached your screenshots.
There we
You go. So you select that screenshot. So it's saying crop only the excerpt that you want to share. So you can grab the little handles, the top or the bottom, and crop to maybe to what Kevin posted at the top. Yeah, that's fine.
Like this.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, crop. Processing
and
image.
so it does this image. It does this in my text recognition. So it's processing, and then once it's processed, you can, if you want, and you don't have to, but you can highlight something in the text that you want to, and you can choose a color that you want. You can change different colors in that top palette right there.
Okay. What is source? Oh, I see.
So the source is the actual URL.
Got it.
The link.
Okay.
And then when you're done, you can tap done at the top. Oh, you may need a source there. So you can just use URL
there we go.
from clipboard.
Oh, Inkboard. All right, perfect. It's the Inkboard URL. This is going to get mighty confusing for people.
So then you've got this image of text with that maybe you highlighted something you want to share, and you can either log in with Twitter to tweet it, or you can just save it to your, or share it to, whatever else, Instagram or wherever else. So yeah, there you go. So it's going to have you log into Twitter, and then you can tweet it. You can see some examples. So the developer is this guy, Eric Bai. So his Twitter name is BAI Eric. You can see some examples just in his Twitter feed. I used it the other day, and he actually retweeted me, and it makes kind of really like a nice, attractive image with the big quotes and the and the highlighting, and it includes the source URL. So you're tweeting basically a link, but then you're able to sort of comment on a particular line inside that text.
Nice.
He's really responsive. He actually, so we had a listener, Ben Lee, tip us about this app, and so I tried it out. And then Eric tweeted, he's geeking out because Gina's trying his app. So hi, Eric, I really liked it. And then I said to him, hey, I really wish I had the option to just save this image instead of tweet it. And he said, sure. And literally in a day, updated the app so that it did that, which was incredibly responsive of him.
That's great.
So. Yeah, if you use Twitter, or if you just like to be, to keep a collection of quotes from stuff that you read throughout the day, it's really nice app. All the codes on GitHub. So if you're learning Android, great way to take something to take a look at. And again, look, it's only got 8 reviews, all very pretty high reviews, but only 8. So it really is kind of undiscovered at this point. You can see Eric is really responsive in the comments there.
Love to see that.
Yeah, excerpt for Twitter.
Excerpt.
I just downloaded it.
Yeah, that's great. That's
nice.
awesome.
To start using that.
I'm going to cover it tomorrow morning on 9 to 5.
Woohoo!
Awesome. Right on.
Excellent. Excerpt for Twitter. That is free as well. Man, they're all free today. I love that.
Free.
Flo, you got one. You've got an app that actually, I checked this out a few weeks ago. I really like it.
Do you
not on the show.
No.
What's that?
Wait, do you need it?
Oh, you know what? Here, let me see if I can install it. You go ahead and start talking about it. I'll see if I can install it. It's
called Make My Day. But it's not, has nothing to do with Arnold. Wait, or who was that?
Clint.
Sorry. Whatever.
Mr. Eastwood.
Whatever. I'm a millennial. That's my excuse all the time. This app is called Make My Day by Lonely Planet, and I discovered it today in the newsletter that I get in my inbox because I'm one of those people. And it's awesome because I like to travel, and yay, it's fun. And when you go travel, sometimes you have no idea what the heck to do when you're just going someplace for like a day. So what you can do is you can just tap on like the place you're going to.
I'll just go through it.
Jason's going to go through it for me.
I'm just going to do the over the shoulder because it's taking forever to install on my
So create
phone.
a new day. Go ahead and tap it.
Okay. Looks like we're going to
Berlin.
Berlin.
We're going to Berlin.
I realize we're changing things up on Brian.
We're changing things up on Brian.
Quickly.
We're going to Berlin right now.
Okay, so we're going to go to Berlin. Create a new day.
All right. So I don't want to start at the Reichstag. So just like
we'll go to Flow Market.
That's actually the open market in Mauer Park. And
it's
so
obviously
we'll
the
start there.
right place to go.
I don't have any cellular data, so you're not going to get the images, which kind of sucks. Then, you can like choose the next place you want to go to in the afternoon.
East Side
Gallery. And then you can choose like the last place for night where you want to end up.
Monkey Bar.
And then you save the day and save the day.
Cool
Saves
beans.
the day, and then it just gives you like highlights of the places that you're going to and what to do while you're there, and it just kind of helps like guide you through a little tour of the areas. It's just a fun little app from Lonely Planet that I just
Here, let's see here.
I love
Let
them.
me see.
Support them. So-
If I'm going to Amsterdam, because this has connectivity, let's see if this will.
Yes, I'm sorry. Don't have a cellular connection.
So it kind of pops those in. There you go. And yeah, it's like a little carousel for morning, afternoon, and evening, and it's kind of surfaces different locations in that area that are perfect for that time of day.
And you can make multiple days, so you don't have to just like choose one day. You can just add a bunch of days to your itinerary, and then it'll give you a little like walkable map, so you don't have to do it in Google Maps, which is what I usually do before I leave for a vacation, or I'll like do it the morning of, and that's super frustrating. So
Lonely Planet is awesome if you're going traveling somewhere major.
Or you just have wanderlust and you just want to look at pictures of places, which is what I do.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. And it's the kind of thing, like if you've ever taken a really big vacation, the flight there is always like, it takes a long time, but it's also kind of exciting because you're thinking about all the things you're going to do when you get there. This is like the perfect thing to like load up while you're waiting on the flight, because you'd be like, oh, day 3.
Or if you have a layover, it's a good like easy little way to, have a layover.
Agreed. And it is free. Although if you want access to certain so the app itself is free, and some basic locations inside each area are available for free. And then if you want to buy access, you can.
So if you are going somewhere different than Amsterdam or London,
right? Yep, you can buy access.
Choose a different place.
There you go. That is Make My Day.
Make My Day.
And I like it a lot. So we have 4 apps to choose from. Let me see here. I have created the poll. If you go to the community page, you can find it, or you can go to the following URL. I am stalling because I am literally publishing it as we speak. It is aaapoll.com/235. aaapoll.com/235. Place your vote on your favorite app from this week. App Checker, Inkboard, Excerpt for Twitter. Can't say that word. Make My Day. And there you go. Place your vote. Let us know. We'll check in on it next week. I think the guest has a 50% chance of winning this time around, because we've got
I'm really
2 guests.
sorry I didn't know that was Clint Eastwood, by the way.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I knew he was the mayor of Carmel. At least I know that.
That's good.
Never
enough.
apologize for who you are.
No, exactly. Wow, that is it. I've kept everyone here far too long, and I apologize about that. First off, Stephen Hall, 9 to 5 Google. There we go. See, that's the guy. That's not Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, now
whatever.
you know.
They're both nuts.
That's true.
So
good point. Stephen, it's a pleasure getting you on the show. We'd love to have you back. Love the work that you do at 9 to 5 Google. And thanks for spending your whole evening with us.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was great. Like this is the first time I've ever been on a Twitch show that wasn't Tech News Today. So it was great.
So instead of being on first thing in the morning, you're on late at night.
Yeah, all night long. And I'm Central Time too, so it's 9:30 here.
Okay. All right. Well, then I feel even worse.
It's
I'm
bedtime.
sorry. Yeah, no kidding. Right. Anything that you're working on in particular you want to plug, point people to, anything like that?
Not really. Just head over to 9to5google.com. You can find my Twitter handle right there. It's StephenHall_. And I'm working every single day. So if you want to read my stuff, there's plenty to read.
Yeah, absolutely. There is. You're very prolific. We appreciate that. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Gina, what about you? So you've got awesome things going on with MakerBase?
Yeah, I think MakerBase is what I'm going to plug tonight. I think everybody should go check it out. MakerBase, it's a .se. We're trying to fix that domain issue, but right now it's MakerBase. It's a .se. Go search for your favorite makers, your favorite projects. Fill them on in. Who made your best apps? Who are your coworkers? What are the stuff that you made that you're super proud of? We're working on some really cool features to connect people and help people find collaborators and help people appreciate, things like, who made the share icon? That's who we featured this week. Alex King made the share icon that's now throughout Android and through so many apps that we know and love and sort of take for granted.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So I hope you I hope you'll check it out. And yeah, we sort of define maker very broadly. So if you pitched in on any sort of web app or project or movie or remix or podcast, like add yourself. Because we all kind of come together and collaborate to make all this kind of stuff on the internet, and we're trying to capture that at MakerBase. So I hope you check it out.
That is cool. You know, you never stop to think about I wonder who designed the share icon.
Sounds pretty
Yeah,
cool.
right?
Like
You never
that.
think about it.
That's really cool. That's very cool. Love it. Makerbay.se. MakerBase is what it's called.
MakerBase.
Go to
That's right.
makerbay.se. Gina, always a pleasure. Love getting you on this show. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. So much fun.
Sorry.
So glad to be on the flow also.
Yes.
Me too. I've been trying to meet you for like how many years? I'm sorry. Not a stalker.
So, Stalker, what are you up to these days?
Just working.
Yeah, stalking maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just working.
You post. Okay, so you posted your review of Marshmallow.
Yeah.
Anything new coming down the pipe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
Someday.
so tomorrow actually. So if you guys have any other questions for Nextbit that we can get to today, holler at me on Twitter. And tomorrow I actually have an interview with Nextbit for my Android influencer series. So I'm going to be talking to Scott Croyle as well as 2 other members of the executive team.
Nice.
And that should be up eventually,
Cool.
possibly next week.
I love that series.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really awesome. You speak with very cool people that are
I try.
kind of on the cutting edge.
It's hard to get people in together at once, so that's why it's not
Tell me
as
about it.
often as I would like to do it. So we got that going, and then just honestly catching up on every single hardware review that I have backlogged right now at my desk.
Fun times.
ZenWatch 2, Moto X, Gear S2. So we're coming. It's coming.
It's an overwhelming task. I understand.
Yes, it's okay.
All right. So greenbot.com.
Yeah, greenbot.com.
All right. Cool.
You have to remind me what to plug all the time.
It's okay. We'll get there.
I know.
Work
I
in
hope
progress.
so.
You're doing awesome. Brian, what about you, bud?
Considering we're running pretty long, I'll keep this short.
Why? You don't want to stay all night and edit?
Yeah, that's the next thing I have to do, isn't
sorry.
it?
Sorry
But
about that.
if you want to keep track of what I'm doing here at Twit, I also do a how-to show with Padre. Have absolutely no idea what we're doing this week, but I'm sure it's something crazy. And most places on the internet, I am at my code name. Is it a code name? Nah, it's just a username. Cranky Hippo. But Twitter is at cranky_hippo.
Excellent. Thank you for being cranky, Hippo.
Getting cranky.
You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. Follow my music at yellowgoldmusic.com. Check out my other Android show at twit.tv/arena for Android app arena. 4 apps every week. It's very difficult, but I do it because I love you. That's it for this week. Leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. Send us an email. We take emails, AAA@twit.tv. You can also put a link to your video and it becomes a video mail, and we love to play those on the show. We never get them, but I'll still ask. Twitter, we are at Android Show. We're on Google+. Search for the All About Android community. It's a hopping community, lots of people in there. Even though people say Google+ is a ghost town, not in the AAA Google+ community. Reddit, twitaa.reddit.com. We have our show notes and past episodes always posted to our site, twit.tv/AAA. And we are live every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific-ish at twit.tv/live. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android. Bye, guys.